Hey, it's Kevin DeWitt here. Welcome to another plugin knowledge session. In this video, we're going to check out the Pultec EQP-1A from UAD. So firstly, if you're new to my channel, new to my videos, and you like what you see, click the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell to be notified of all of my future videos as they come out. So the Pultec EQP-1A sounds like a complicated name, but it is just the hardware model of the famous Pultec EQ. So the Pultec EQP-1A is an emulation of the famous Pultec hardware. It is an EQ and it is made or emulated by UAD. So if you don't have UAD hardware, you unfortunately won't be able to use this plugin. But if you do, quite simple for you to demo it, purchase it, whatever you like. Now, if you've watched one of my previous videos on the Pultec Pro Legacy, then you'll notice that this is very similar. It's an updated, enhanced version of it, and where the Pro Legacy one included most of the EQ functions all in one plugin, they've now broken it out into 3 separate modules. And the reason they've done that is because of the detail that they have emulated in this. They've emulated down to every component within a physical hardware-based Pultec EQ. And because of the demand on the CPUs and the DSP that is required, I guess they needed to break it up into individual modules. Now, this can be a bit of a downside because obviously if you want more functionality and you need those extra EQ bands or the filters, you need to pull up the other modules as well. Separate plugins makes the interface a little bit more clunky in that regards because you don't have access to it. But to be honest with you, it actually emulates the hardware more realistically because these modules are actually broken up as if the way the hardware was broken up. The hardware didn't come together like the Pro Legacy does. They are still individual modules. They've just bundled them into one plugin. So this time they've broken them up to be more realistic to the actual hardware. Now, from a sound point of view, how accurate are they to the unit? I have no idea. I've never used the unit, so I just trust in the fact that they know what they're doing. And to be honest with you, I don't personally care whether they're accurate or not. I go by, do I like the sound? And they do sound great. Do I use all of the modules all the time? No, but I do like to use this one, and I do like to use this one with the greater detail because it does sound nice. But I use it for specific functions. I'll use it to enhance the low end, doing the low end trick, or enhance the top end, certain things like that. I don't use it as a day-to-day EQ. I even put it on my mix bus without any settings at all because it has this gluing effect and this analog emulation effect that it adds to your song and really changes the sound of it. So this particular module, the EQP-1A, covers the low end and the top end. Okay, so let's have a look at it now, and we'll cover the other modules in other videos. This is one of my older videos that has been on my website, hasn't quite made it to YouTube yet, but definitely deserved to be there because I actually really love this plugin and I use it quite a lot during mixes, especially on my mix bus. So let's get into it and I'll show you what it can do. Now I'm showing 2 here. There's 2 versions. One is the full version and one is the Legacy. Okay, so what is the difference between the 2? Basically, the Legacy has been stripped back a tiny bit for the emulation, and it uses a lot less DSP, so you can use a lot more instances of the Legacy version as opposed to the full one, because the full one uses a lot of extra DSP. And what the main difference is that the full version includes transformer and IO distortion characteristics. So they've modeled all of those components and added it to the full version. The legacy version, they've stripped those little bits out, taken it away. So the EQ itself functions exactly the same and everything else, but you lose those little extra bit of modeling emulation for the transformer and the I/O distortion. Will that have a big impact? I guess we'll soon find out. So just to start with, let's just set these to be identical for how they actually start up. So I've got both plugins bypass, and I've just got a full song here. What we're going to do first is just play the song, and I'm just going to bring the plugin in. So none of these are boosted. None of these are actually technically doing anything. So I'm just interested to hear, is there anything added to the sound of the song by just adding this plugin in? So here's the song by itself, and then I'll bring each one in one at a time. So you can hear there, if you listen closely, that each one of these adds a little bit extra something to the sound of the song. You can hear it change, and each one of them are slightly different as well. So it's minor, but it is there. It is quite common for some mix engineers just to actually load this plugin on, say, the mix bus or something like that, and they just bring it in on their mix bus with no other settings, and just to get that, I guess, that transformer and that I/O distortion that they claim that they've modeled, that emulation across their sound, to give that, air quotes, analog warmth that people are trying to get in the digital realm. So let's actually look at the plugin settings now. So as I said, it's pretty much identical other than that characteristics. The only other different setting here is this one here. On the full version, we can actually boost the signal up to 12 dB if we wished. But other than that, it is basically the same. It's broken up into a few sections here. So we have an attenuation section, which covers this section here. So basically this control sets the frequency of the attenuation. So 5, 10, 20K. And this control here determines how much gain. So this attenuation here is a high cut shelf. Depending on our frequency selection here, it is going to cut to the amount that we dial in on this control here. And our other section here is sort of this triangle here, which is our sort of mid to high mid frequencies. So we've got 3K up to 16K, and we have our boost control, and here we have our bandwidth, or if you want to call it on other EQs, that's our Q. So we can have a sharp Q, or we can have a broad Q, or as it's worded, bandwidth. And then our last section here is this triangle here, which is basically our low end. So we've got 20 Hertz, 30, 60, and 100 Hertz. We can boost it, and we can also attenuate it, and we can actually do both of those at the same time. So we can get an interesting effect where they sort of bounce off each other and create some nice boosting, but without adding too much boom on the low end. So with the plugins, they've retained the original labeling because a lot of people would read this differently these days. As I've been saying here, this is 20 Hertz, 30 Hertz, 60 Hertz. They've got it labeled as CPS, which is cycles per second, which was or is exactly the same as hertz. So it's 20 cycles per second, 30 cycles per second, which is the same as 20 hertz or 30 hertz. We don't often use this term anymore, but it was used quite extensively back then, and that's how the hardware was labeled. So they've retained that vintage style by retaining that labeling. And similarly up here, we've got KCS, which is actually kilocycles per second. So again, it's just the same as saying 8 kilohertz. It's 8 kilocycles. All right, so let's just dial some controls in and we'll just have a bit of a listen and just keep comparing between the two. So there you go, there is the Pultec EQP-1A from UAD. As I said, I love this plugin. I use it quite a lot. Use it for boosting low end and top end. I use it for doing the low end Pultec low end trick. And as I said, I even place it on my mix bus without doing any actual EQ settings and just having it there, adding its analog emulation, warmth, whatever, harmonic content that it's adding to the song, adding it across the mix bus, and it really does add something really nice to the mixes. Let me know what you think in the comments. Have you tried it? If not, can you try it? Let me know, do you like it? Do you not like it? What don't you like? What do you like about it? Love to hear your opinions. What do you use it for? Hopefully the quality of the video was okay and I wasn't too boring in it, and as it was one of my older videos. And if you did like the video, please click the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell to be notified of all my future videos. And hopefully it's been helpful. I thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.